Nah, we good. We live. We live. What's good, family? Welcome to another episode of Roll Lamb Live. I am here today once again with my brother Wolly Mcnair. How you doing, Wolly? How you feeling, man?
Man, live and well, if not more.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is a show where we talk about creativity. We talk about life. We talk about how it's all connected. And if you enjoy this, like this, subscribe to the channel, share it with somebody. I would definitely appreciate that. Today, we're going to talk to Wolly about his current Kickstarter campaign for a hardcover art book called Daydreaming at Night. I believe this is volume 2.
Volume 2.
Okay, we got 2 covers going. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, but before we do that,
Yeah.
I love to start with my favorite question. What is inspiring you right now, Wolly? What you reading, what you listening to, what you watching?
Man, I'm trying to listen to my soul. That's what I'm trying to tap into. But just in general, same as always though. My kids, and just the desire to get my people out the struggle. So that's daily.
For
You know
sure.
what I mean? Like that keeps a push. As far as watching and all that, I don't know, man. I ain't really been tapping into a whole lot of anything. I'm trying to remember what was the last thing. It's just on some entertainment stuff. Me and my son been watching the Penguin show, so the writing on that joint is super dope.
Yeah.
The character development and things like that been pretty cool to watch. So
For sure.
yeah, that part, man. But the rest of it, man, just the everyday life, bro. That's plenty.
For sure. Absolutely. For myself, I feel like there's just a lot of disparate elements that is I don't know, I've been thinking about death a lot lately. I've been thinking about death. I've been thinking about life as well, life and death. This morning I found out that my uncle passed away.
Condolences.
So I've been, thinking about that, and
yeah. Major condolences to you.
Appreciate that. But all the things happening with Israel and Palestine, and even Ukraine and Russia, and just just all the different things that's happening around me is it's inspiring me to. I think I mentioned this on one of the previous shows I did last month, but just for a long time, the idea of what is it you want to say with your art, that phrase or that question would scare me. And I think as I'm getting older, I'm realizing that really is an important thing, that that there is something, whether you know it or not, there's something that you're saying with the expression and the work that you put into the world. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then figuring out the intentionality behind what it is that I want to say with what I'm putting out. You know what I'm saying? Finding that balance as well between the authenticity of just the expression for the expression's sake, but then also what are we saying? What do we want to say? And how are we giving it to the people? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just a little bit where I'm at right now. So you wanted to add something?
Nah, I just wondering, did you figure out what some of that answer is?
Yeah, man. So I actually I started working on a personal essay, which is for me, I don't write a lot of nonfiction. But just thinking about some of these things that I just mentioned, it started to pull some memories from my life. And I feel like there's some connective tissue with some of our current events, as well as some of my personal experiences that I've had. And so I'm writing this piece right now that I think is going to marry those things together, and hopefully, give a unique perspective on what's happening, in the world. So, and then, I have idea for, I have a bunch of poems on my computer that I haven't done anything with. And I'm like, I think there's something there, just, I don't know. I just been looking at all the things that I've been doing and saying, look, let's be intentional about really putting my voice into the world. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I think, I don't want to sound, cocky, but I think it's necessary that my voice be in the world. You know what I'm saying? It's necessary. And
I mean, not only that, but you know, we live in a time where there's a lot of outlets for people to quote unquote have a voice, but a lot of it is misused when you really, depending on where you stand. But when you have certain, whether you want to call them gifts or abilities or whatever, that transcend just jumping on social media and typing for the sake of typing.
Right.
You know, it's that cliche, great power, great responsibility, whatever. But it's like you have the ability to say something beyond just clouding up space.
Right.
Like you could say something that pierces the clouds and the darkness and well, not even the darkness, but the cloudiness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And using that to the fullest, or to the purest point over. And it's not to say you can't just do things to do it, but like, you know, realizing that you have that ability to reach people in a different way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? On a different scale. So I think it's important.
Yeah. And I think too, you know, like when you say, you know, just doing things just to do it, I think there's something powerful in just doing things just to do it as well. You know, when you're chasing that dream. And I don't know, one of the things I was thinking about this week was, you know, I have to use my gifts in honor of all the people that are not going to have a chance to use their gift.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? For whatever reason, whether they're killed or they're, you know, for whatever reason, right? Like in honor of those people, I got to use my voice and I got to share my gift. Because I have to, I don't know. I just think I have to value that. You know what I'm saying? I have to value that.
There's definitely a value there. And when I talk about the people that just doing to do, I mean more the people who are just like, I have Twitter, so I'm just gonna say something.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Without even no care, concern, thought, just
they just out here. Yeah.
I'm gonna insert myself because I can. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying that could benefit somewhere, but
just agents of chaos.
yeah, which maybe some chaos is necessary, but it's again, it's intent. You know what I'm saying? And
for sure.
But you can have an accidental situation that opens up something greater. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But I do look at those who have the ability to communicate in other ways, whether it's writing, storytelling, visuals, dance, whatever creative format. You know, we have an opportunity to do things beyond. Doesn't mean it's got to be that all the way every time you step on the platform, every time you speak, but it's just you do have that ability to impact differently. You know what I mean? Think about all the books you've read that everybody don't know about, but something in that book hit you in a certain way that sparked something else. And you know, it's our opportunity to do the same somewhere out here.
Absolutely. And I really love how we started this conversation, because I think that's a large part of what I want to talk about today, in terms of daydreaming at night. But first, I just want to start at, you know, can you talk a little bit about what this project is and how it came about?
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, when I first got into this game, I don't even know where the book is at now, but when I first got into this game, you know, just trying to figure it out, man. And I remember wanting to make books, comic books, graphic novels, art books, like whatever. But at that time, it wasn't like it is today, where there were so many options to go to print something, and especially not in color, and especially not hardcovers. So, you know, my first art book ever was printed on a home printer, 8.5 by 11 sheets, folded over, stapled. And you know, the video on the Kickstarter, you can see the book in one of the videos, a couple of the videos or whatever. But I printed a bunch of those up and took them to shows and sold them. You know, the artwork was terrible. The book itself was, you know, not the greatest, most fancy thing, but it was a dream to just make a book. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't have the connections, didn't have the ability to print up thousands of copies. So it was like, this is the best, closest thing I can do. I can print these out and take them. So, you know, you fast forward 15 years, 12 years, whatever it was from that point to today, and being able to make a book I've done plenty of soft covers in between that time, but to be able to show the journey, or for myself to have another timestamp on the journey, to be able to today make a hardcover with art, some of it reflective of stuff I had in the old book, some of it completely new stuff, but it's still carrying that idea of what it is to daydream, but at night, because most people's daydreams are beautiful things, are wonderful things, fantasies, or something great. You know what I'm saying? At night when you go to sleep, you don't necessarily have as much control over the subconscious and what happens. So for me, it's like that idea of carrying on the power of a daydream into the night, you know what I'm saying, and still being able to create something that's wonderful, amazing. So yeah, that's the core base of just, this is a timestamp for me to be able to look back, because I still have a copy of that first book somewhere on this shelf, and to hold that.
Because you show it in the video, right? In the
Yeah,
Kickstarter.
yeah. So to be able to look at that and then look at this and say, oh man, like look where we've grown and what we've, the journey has been from that time point to now. And that's just, one amongst many and many to come.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question. This is more about your art process. What is a when you have an idea for something, what does it look like to go from that idea to that finished illustration, that finished piece? Like, what does that process look like for you?
Just for a piece in general?
Yeah. Just like if you have an idea, I want to do this, like, yeah.
I mean, it varies, bro. It could be sitting down drawing in the sketchbook and something feels right, so I take a picture of it, jump on the computer, and start to really flesh it out. It could be sitting on the computer, just sketching things. But sometimes the idea come to mind, and wake up with an idea in mind, run to the sketchbook or the computer,
daydreaming at night. Go
yeah,
ahead.
you know what I mean, and just start hacking away at whatever the base foundation for that is, and then trying to figure out, kind of where I want to go from there, and what I want it to look like, and what I want it to be like. And sometimes a name or a thought will come across the mind, and it's like, ooh, like I got a piece called God of Thugs, and it was like, yo, what would that look like? You know what I'm saying? Like, what would the God of Thugs wear?
He wear Air Force Ones, right?
This one do.
Black ones. He got to wear
Black Force One. He got the black ones on. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But he's also got an onyx sword, and he's got freedom locks. You know what I'm saying? And he holds his head very high. He's also got a pit bull. You know what I mean?
Naturally.
You know what I mean? But you can see that he's proud, but he's sitting on a throne of roses. So it's all these different dynamics in what it is to be the God of Thugs. Like what do you have to take on, and what does a thug really equate to?
Yeah.
Whether we're looking at Tupac's definition of thug, or what some people like to use as another way of saying,
right.
So sometimes it's just that, like it's just ideas that run through the mind, and then sit down and trying to figure out how to flesh it out and where it goes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We can say nigga on here, bro. You can say nigga.
I ain't want to turn nobody.
It's fine. This is a pro black show. It's fine.
yeah, that part. Yeah.
But
I think all that you said, like, that plays true to it too, because I'm always trying to figure out what am I saying and what's the voice that I'm using, because I find myself in a weird place sometimes that nobody else might not care about, but especially in my earlier times, like of trying to figure out the balance between where I come from and making sure that I speak clearly and properly for that, but at the same time showing the growth and the overall of who we are as a people. You know what I mean? Because I have principles and morals and things that I stand by and live by, and people that not necessarily that I answer to, but an expectation of me to be who I'm supposed to be to the fullest, and not like nothing else, not some fake facade, or you know what I mean? And but at the same time, hoping that people find something for them out of it too, just as much as it's speaking for me or for where I come from. Like if it relates and connects, then whatever you find out of it,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's that weird balance, man.
Yeah. And you mentioned the word voice, and I as a writer, we talk about voice a lot in writing. I don't hear artists talk about voice as much. For you, what does voice look like from an art perspective? And then how would you describe your voice if you had to?
Man,
I know that's a tough one. I know that's a tough question, but
yeah, it's
throw it out.
layered, you know. I mean, sometimes my voice is just trying to echo the sentiments of others I've heard around me. You know what I'm saying? I think Nas and hip hop was a prime example of sometimes the stories he told weren't his direct story, but he witnessed or someone around him experienced or went. And so it's like, but I know how to put this to paper and then vocalize it to where other people can catch it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing. Like sometimes some of my people might have gone through something and me witnessing it, or an experience that somebody else had, and me being able to see it is so real that I can feel it. I can reach out and touch this moment, and it's like, but they don't have a way to convey this.
Right.
So let me be a vessel to convey this. And then there's the other side sometimes of also implementing or just telling pieces of my story.
Right.
But I have the ability to tell it without telling too much or revealing too much, to where this could be several people's story, you know what I'm saying? But there's something in that, things that I've experienced that I couldn't just talk about publicly, or I couldn't just,
right.
You know what I mean? But the statute of limitations might not be up, but I can convey this in art, or you know, sometimes certain things travel way faster than you just having a conversation with another person. An art piece could go viral on its own time, and there could be a message in there about the state of the world or the state of certain things, or you know, whatever.
Right.
But my voice is ever changing depending on what I'm doing at the time too. You know, like a comic, like my Super Bastard comic, I get to say a lot of things that I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on social media saying, but if you talk to me personally, you know, I'll express quite happily certain things. But with Super Bastard, I get to take it to a place beyond, because it's a work of fiction, right? But it's still talking about real situations, and it echoes the sentiments that a lot of people feel they just don't get the chance to express,
right,
from both sides possibly, you know. But then I can have something else that's a whole lot more the peaceful, the joy, the whatever, the beauty of it all, the elegance of it all, you know what I'm saying? So it jumps around, bro. I would imagine in some ways parallel to what it is to write, from poetry to novels to screenplays to whatever. Like, you find these different opportunities with the different characters that you may be creating, or if you're an actor playing, where you get to put a piece of that person that you might can't be 24 hours a day into, you know, to that one particular thing.
Right. And I think and sometimes I have this conversation about hip hop with people, and I'll tell people, I'll say hip hop artists are characters. And I think sometimes that can be used like in a derogatory fashion, but I don't mean it derogatorily. I just mean it to say, like, I think you just mentioned Nas. I think you mentioned Nas, right?
Yeah.
So I worked with some guys who grew up with Nas, and they told me, they were like, look, Nas wasn't really in the street. Like he wasn't, not that he wasn't from where he said he was from, but he wasn't out here doing those things. But what he would do is he would hear the stories and then he would translate them, right? And so a lot of times when I think about like authentic hip hop, I think about these artists as representatives of where they came from. And so everything they say may not be 100%, you know, factual. They was doing these things, but it is factual from the standpoint of, this is what I come from, right? These are my people. And as such, these people are me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
And so I just wanted to throw that piece out there.
And but also some of the characters are legitimate characters. You know what I'm saying? Like on another level, like some people become, I got an OG who said, you know, sometimes people live long enough to become what they've been perpetrating for so long. Like, because now you can't let the facade down. Like, you got to keep it up. You know what I mean? Which becomes tiring, you know. And some people become something else to protect who they really are. And then you got, you know, you had cats like Ghostface and Doom, and even what Tyler the Creator has been doing with a lot of his projects, where you get to live through. I heard Ab Soul talking recently about his new project and how the voice that he's trying to be is essentially him and his homeboy who passed away not too long ago. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I think that's the beauty of the creative arts. You do get to kind of, but I think that's also the messed up side of it is that some people want to be certain things so bad. They want to be it so bad that they start living it to prove that they're authentic, but that wasn't who they really ever were. But now they've become it, and they can't turn to anything else. You know what I'm saying? And it becomes something else. You know what I'm saying? So
right. And then you got guys like Mano who, who they really come from it, and then they don't really like rap for real, but they just like, look, I can make money doing this.
The opportunity, which is one of the craziest things. Like I got partners who didn't rap back in the day. Like they respected it, but it's like that wasn't what they did.
Right.
And then they saw certain other people start rapping. It was like, oh, that's how they get money like that. Oh, well, I got them stories. I can talk about that all day. You know, I think Eazy-E was the first of that cloth of I'm really out here, but I don't rap. And then somebody said, well, what if you did though? You know what I'm saying? Like
I work.
And it'd be authentic because everything you're talking about, we can trace these things. You know what I mean? So you know, but yeah, most cats at one point in time, they weren't everything they rapped about, but they were enough of it, and they was around enough of it, you know. But now it's like everybody got to be it. I got to be that, and it's like you really don't. But okay, you know what I'm saying?
Really don't. Right. So let me ask you this: what's your favorite part of the art process?
What day?
Today.
Today probably just hitting whatever that personal goal is on something. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's like right now, I have these sketches I do every night, pen sketches, no pencil, just let me see how this turn out, and just getting through it feels like, you know, a great accomplishment. You know what I mean? It might not look great. It might look terrible depending on what it is, but hopefully, first of all, it's just let me get from point A to point Z, and then when I look back over this timeline of however much time, I hopefully have learned something in that process. You know, I'm learning to just seek some learning situation out of these things. You know what I mean? And then the other side of it is just anything I accomplish, bro. It's like, man, I got that done. You know what I'm saying? Which being a freelance illustrator, everything is about hitting those deadlines, due dates, and whatever. You know what I mean? Like, cause your reputation, you don't want to be known as the guy who don't get it done. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the other thing is just if I can make what I see in my brain, in my imagination, somewhat similar, because it don't always translate exact. But if I can get it close enough. Then that's a joyful thing too, because there's plenty of them that don't go nowhere like it, and I stick them all to the side and be like, I'll come back to it one day. I might be ready to enter that chamber right now.
Right. So, and I think that answer takes me to another question that I wrote down. What, how do you decide when a piece is done versus when it's like, look, I gotta, like you said, I gotta put this to the side for a little bit. Like, what is that? How do you know when to make that decision?
When it's business, whenever the deadline is,
right.
I turn this in, you know what I'm saying? Like, and hopefully at that point, it's normally met the requirements of the client enough to where, okay, I know it's going to get the green light. So let me but when it's personal stuff, bro, sometimes it's like, look, I don't know what else to do with it. So I make a decision whether I want the world to see it or if I'm just going to tuck it away and come back to it and see what I feel like doing, you know, a week later, a month later, a year later. And even then, when I feel like something is finished and I put it out there, I might go back to it sometime down the line when I feel like I've learned something more that can make it a better piece. And it's like, okay, let me recreate that. I used to be amazed at artists who would draw something or paint something 4 or 5 different times within a short time period, because I'm like, yo, how you got the patience to relive all of that again? You know what I'm saying? But or a cat who would lose something and get damaged to something and they create the whole thing from scratch, almost the same or better. And I'm like, yo, I need to harness that. that ability, but I really don't even have the patience to want to do that again. You know what I mean? But now, you know, I definitely put something away and come back to it. But a lot of times, I don't know, you just get to this place where you're like, okay, I feel like this tells the tale. It could be better, could be some more. I just don't know what that is now, so I'm gonna just go ahead and walk away from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was talking to, who was I talking to? I think I might have been talking to this lady who's been mentoring me, who writes screenplays, and she was saying we was in like a group coaching situation, and she said, you know, screenplays are never finished. You just run out of time, right? So,
right.
you know, you turn the screenplay in. I mean, while the movie is being shot, you could be sitting on set doing rewrites. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you know, the movie could be out, and it's just, I really could do some more work on this screenplay, but it's out here now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's what I sort of hear you saying too. It's like, look, it's never really finished. It's just, I just know instinctively it's either done or I'm gonna have to come back to this.
Right.
Or
Because there's other things I got to do too. You know what I mean?
Right. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I don't know if I asked you this question before, but how has fatherhood impacted your creative process?
Oh man, a lot. You know what I mean? Like from some of the things I choose to create and talk about to figuring out how to implement, you know, what I've learned from my kids or from learning to be a father, which is a continuous process, to even things that they bring to me sometimes, like, yo, you ever thought about this? Or what if somebody did that? You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. Because early on, I learned, like, with certain things, I don't have to wait for somebody else to do it. Like, I can take part in the process of doing it. So I started teaching my kids that, like, yo, y'all got an idea, let's sit down and try to figure out what that might be. You know what I mean? So and also wanting to make sure. I heard somebody say something about, I heard Bernie Mac's daughter talk about how happy she was when she found out that the person she knew Bernie Mac to be was the person the world knew him to be. Like, it wasn't a difference. It wasn't like he was great here, but then you walk out there and it's like, oh, nah, he was terrible. You know what I'm saying? It was like, I'm conscious of those type things too. Like, of course, I stand on certain things, and my kids know that, but I want them to always be proud of who their father is, and know that if they run into somebody where it's anything other than that, then maybe that problem was something else. You know what I'm saying? Like, it won't, because I just wasn't who I'm supposed to be or who I am. You know what I mean? But so I mean, it's a lot, bro. Like the kids, they changed my drive. They changed my desires. They changed they changed how I move when it came to certain things a lot.
You start crying, bro?
Nah, definitely not. My eyes might sweat a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
My boy said,
yeah. You know how you think about something, but you ain't supposed to talk about it, so it crossed your mind, and you got to figure out another way to bring it.
Chill. Yeah.
So, yeah, like they have definitely been a force, an influence on a lot of choices and decisions. That I don't even want to know what I would have decided had they not been in position. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But definitely motivation. You gotta find that you gotta feed something besides yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That
and I just want to throw this out here before we move off of this point. I really admire and respect the way I see, just from the outside looking in, the relationship that you have, particularly with your son.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just, we sat at the table with each other, and I saw y'all interacting, and it's really, it's always refreshing. It's always really cool to see fatherhood in action. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, man. I really appreciate and respect the energy that you bring to fatherhood. And just, I don't know. I just respect and admire it, bro.
No, yeah. From father to father, for sure. I vice versa, same, brother. Like, yeah, for sure. I mean, we get a bad rep for whatever the reason, You know what I mean? Not saying that there isn't some people out there that didn't stay and do what they're supposed to do, but there's plenty of us that are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That have, and that was one thing for me. Like once my son was on this planet before that, but it was like I got to do everything in my power to be the best that and I'm not even saying I've been great at it. I'm sure I done made some missteps here and there, and he ain't even ventured off into the world in full yet. So that's when you really figure out whether you,
right.
You know what I mean? But it's like I just didn't want to ever look back and be like, bro, I should have been there. I could have, you know. So him and my daughter, it's super major important, and I'm learning every day. And now I'm learning the other side of it because they're getting older, and it's like, yeah, you're gonna have to get out their way at some point. You know what I'm saying? Like you really gonna have to get out the way. Not that I'd be blocking anything, but it's like you just can't. They're not the little creatures they were before. Like they become their own thing, bro. And sometimes it's a little bit sad because my son is definitely like that's my right hand. You know what I mean? But he's got to build his own, and I'll be there to help him in every step of the way. But I can't let him trying to be my right hand stop him from being who he needs to be out here in this world either. You know what I'm saying? Definitely don't want him to look up. You remember how 3 Stacks was in Idlewild? Like how he was kind of stuck with his dad, and it's like he couldn't even really breathe and be who he needed. Like I can't be that. I can't. You know what I'm saying? But definitely like likewise, bro, for you and the family, man. Like I know what you stand on. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate you. I do have a question though, and this is more of a fatherhood question. And so you said you don't know if you're great at it. You don't know if you would say you're great at it, but I think the evidence is in your son, right? Yeah. And so just even like respect, right? So, you know, when I first met him, I think I like shook his hand. I'm like, yo, what's up? He said, what's up, Mr. Rowe? And I'm like, you just call me Rowe. But that to me, what that is you taught him that. You taught him that respect, right?
For sure.
And so my question for you is, how do you what is it like teaching your son the principles to live in this world, right? Like, that's not really the question I want to ask. Let me say it like this. So for myself, I find it difficult when I'm dealing with my kids. I'm like, yo, like, have I taught them everything they need to know? Like, you know, they going outside to play. My kids are younger, right? So my oldest is, well, he's 11 now. So they, you know, he's getting big, but you know, they go outside and I'm like, yo, did I teach him what he need to know? Right. And so maybe that's my question. How do you make sure you teach your children what they need to know?
I don't know. You know what I mean? I just try.
That makes you feel better.
I think it's an ongoing process, and it differs from child to child, right? Like you got your base things you try to instill in them in general, but then you've got the things that will differ based on the choices that they make or the things that they're interested in, and you know the whatever. But I'm constantly asking myself, like, one, I try to look at my parents were solid. They didn't stay together, but they still did what they needed to do to try to raise me and my brother, and then my other siblings, my sister, and my other brother. But there's a lot of things they didn't understand, and so I try to look at where I felt like they may have come up short and figure out how I fill in those gaps, and then I try to look at where I feel like I'm coming up short if I can figure it out, or open the communication for my kids to share certain things so that I can try to learn from it, which, you know, as parents, sometimes your ego and pride get in the way. Like, well, nigga, who you telling, you know what I'm saying? But it's about how they come and present those things. So I don't know, it's a continuous work in progress. I always think back to that line in Black Panther. I don't remember it exactly, but what T'Chaka was telling T'Challa, like, if I haven't prepared you for death or something to that degree, then I haven't done my job. Like, I got to prepare you for the full gambit of it, with and without me. You know what I'm saying? So I think the hardest thing is just making sure you're not overloading them with the pressure of what you're supposed to be doing. You know.
No, that's a great answer. If you're just joining us, definitely make sure you check out Wolly's current Kickstarter for Daydreaming at Night Volume 2. The link is in the show notes, whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube. You click that, it'll take you straight to Kickstarter.
Yeah.
It's an art book with sketches and fan art and other original, client work and things that he has. So definitely check it out. I got a couple of more questions here. Those are the covers that he's holding up right there. So talk about those covers. One of them is the main cover, and one of those is a
one's the comic edition, I guess.
Okay.
I a lot of my work is in the world of comics and graphic novels and gaming and all that good stuff. But I also I'm fortunate to be able to like do stuff with galleries and museums and things of that nature. So the main cover, because the original cover had a black woman on the front, so I wanted to keep that theme going.
Word.
But this particular character is loosely based on there's two different versions of this, but I only chose this one for the main cover. But it's called "Is That Your Queen? Is This Your Queen?" Kind of playing off of the Killmonger statement in Black Panther. Because when I was a kid and my mom moved here to Charlotte, when she got back on her feet a little bit, she drove me and my brother around Charlotte, and she took us to this statue they used to have here. It may still be here, I'm not sure. And it was Queen Charlotte. And she was like, they're going to tell you that this woman wasn't black, but from everything I've ever been able to find, see, whatever, she was a black woman. And it just shows you how far some people will go to keep us from seeing ourselves in certain lights. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, I've seen the battle in this city over the depiction of her, over who credits what, historically she had, and it's like, man, so it's that tough, you know what I'm saying? So having this young queen with the halo and the crown, the original version, she's holding a skull with a crown, and she's looking at it and saying, is this your queen? Is this who you answer to? But it's also like the play off of, hey, if that's your queen, cool, this is mine. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But still keeping that daydream alive and that reality. But the other cover is just, going back to the comic side with Miles and, sneaker game and the cool factor that it is, because Spider-Man was a lot of people's favorite character because of the mask. You could put the mask on and he could technically be whoever. Right. But Miles was that first representation of somebody black, somebody of a different race, creed, whatever. And so I felt like it's one of my most popular pieces in the comic world. So I figured, why not make that a option that people could grab too? Because some people just love that side of it,
For sure. So again, if you want to cop those covers, definitely check out the Kickstarter. It's going right now. What we got? 8 days left?
Yeah, like 9 days. We finally hit go. It's a quick starter. Ro put me on to Kickstarter, so I wanted to try it. Ever since he mentioned it, it was like, well, this would be a chance to try. It ain't got to be something with a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Try to hit that base goal, and anything past that is just beautiful. Sure. But yeah, 100 pages, hardcover. They all come signed. If you get the limited edition cover, it comes signed and numbered. But yeah, check them out. Video shows you some of the content too.
For sure. Real quick, shout out to my guy Morgan of Fourth Wall. Was it Fourth Wall Productions or they Fourth Wall Comics? What are they? Fourth Wall
Productions, Fourth Wall Pros.
Fourth Wall Pros, that's what it is. Yeah, shout out to Fourth Wall. I'm gonna just say Fourth Wall.
Studios now. I don't know.
Are they studio? Man, we don't know what they call themselves.
They might be all three.
They might be all three. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so my next question is, what are you most proud of in your career so far?
I don't know. It might not have happened yet, but
so far.
Up to date, man, just seeing my kids' reactions to the things that they've been able to see their father take part in, and the dopest thing for me was probably me and my daughter had a show at Florence University, I believe it was. Where we both were guests. They paid my daughter to be there, paid me to be there. She had work on the walls. Students got to come in and check out her work. She wasn't as ready to talk at the speaking engagement, but she got to experience putting the show together, artwork being hung, and that whole situation. So that was probably the proudest moment out of everything. Like all the other stuff has been great, but that meant a lot. You know what I'm saying?
So you was out here doing LeBron James before LeBron even knew, like
For sure. Sure, not I couldn't switch a whole league to do what I wanted, but I was able to.
You did what you had to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got her money, right?
Yeah,
I'm with it.
for sure.
Shout out to Nadia. What's good, Nadia? Thank you for coming through.
Nadia, what up?
Nah, that's dope though. That sounds like a really dope. So it was her art that they hung as well.
Yeah. I think she had like 8 pieces in the show or something like that.
That's dope.
You know what I'm saying? So, and then she got the Cummins, it was up for a month. Then we got to go and do an artist talk. Like I said, she didn't talk a lot in that particular situation, but she still got to watch people come in and see her work and see, people's reactions to her work. And I think it, helped a lot because she's still going today. She ain't tripping as much about the shows and all that, you know what I mean? But it's like she got that experience. She understands what that's about.
Yeah.
And she definitely was happy to deposit that check.
Check, right?
You know what I mean? And go do what she wanted to do with that.
So good about that money.
Yeah, for sure.
Cuzzo, what's up, family?
What up?
In the Kickstarter video, you talk about checkpoints, right? And you say, and I think you mentioned it today too, like this is just another checkpoint in my journey, right?
Yeah.
For you, what do you think of as your goal, right? Like what are you shooting for when it's all said and done? What do you want your career, your life to have looked like?
That's tough, man. I was thinking about that. You were talking about earlier about life, death, immortality, just thinking about that whole gambit of things, man. It's like I don't want to look up and be like, man, I spent too much time worrying about this.
Mm-hmm.
I should have been just focused on that. Because I feel fortunate, man, coming from where I come from. There's so many of my people that aren't here. So I always feel like I carry a little bit of that. Like I'm supposed to do certain things, you know what I'm saying? Whether that's the reality or not. But I don't know, the biggest thing, man, for me as a person, to just know that I left that mark, that I am who I am, and I ain't switch up, change up, or like no matter what was happening, no matter what success or whatever, I didn't let myself become something else to appease my ego or the expectations of something that really didn't matter. And there's a balance to that, but with the art and all that, bro, like I just want, as long as the artwork impacts somebody, you know what I'm saying, with it, hopefully in an inspirational way, for them to go do what they do and move how they move, and then they inspire and move somebody else. Like that's a big part of it, bro. Like I just want to make sure that I'm leaving an impact that's positive in some form or fashion. And I know I have been able to. I've been fortunate to have people come back and tap in and say, yo, bro, I was on this path and I ran into your story or saw your work somewhere or whatever it might have been. And that's real. Like I'm talking about cats who was one step away from life in prison. You know what I mean? Like, and it means something to me. Ain't nothing to go glamorize on social media, none of that, like behind the scenes, like knowing that somebody was impacted enough to make certain choices or to strive for something different, or and then just to be motivation, you know what I'm saying? Not on some like ego stuff, like, oh look, I'm the motivation, but like to say something I did, even if they don't know me, they don't gotta know me, like they can just see the work, and if something about it makes them like, yo, man, because when I saw Ernie Barnes' work, I didn't know who he was. I didn't know who bro was at first. My grandmother just threw on some Good Times reruns, and I'm like, oh dang, that's crazy. I thought JJ was really painting them joints, and it inspired, it hit my brain like, oh, that's dope. Then I find out he's a real person, and a person that was from North Carolina, and this is the, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so to be able to do that, definitely, man, and hopefully after the aliens wipe the planet out, and they they find some artwork. They hopefully there's some stories in there that make them feel like, hey, maybe some of them are worth keeping. You know what I mean? Like, that part.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, what are some of your favorite art books? Like art books that you've collected from other artists, or maybe not the books, but just the artists. I know you just mentioned what's his name, Ernie? What's his
Yeah, Ernie Barnes.
Ernie
Yeah,
Barnes.
yeah.
Who are some other artists or art books that you've enjoyed?
Well, Ernie Barnes is top tier for me. Um, I always be messing up, bro. Now I think his name Kehinde Wiley.
Yeah.
He's another one of them. Just because he broke into a different lane, you know what I'm saying, and he's got dope art books out there, but he broke into a different lane with what he was doing. You know, um, shoot, man, I got so many different books up here. It's a lot of Japanese, Korean, Chinese artists that I grab art books from all the time. McFarlane on the comic book side was a heavy influence. I have a few sketchbook, art book, vault editions from his work. But it jumps around, man. Like, and then there's just a bunch of dope artists out there that I just rock with in general. That's just doing their thing. Um, Shout out to the homegirl Ryan. You know, she out there doing some dope things. Asia.
Mm-hmm.
Got to give a shout out to Stephanie Williams just because she an artist, visual artist, but she's a writer.
For sure, for sure.
But just in general, bro, I don't know, man. Anything that just is dope and has a certain energy or certain vibe. I pick up interior design books. I pick up. It's a cat I just stumbled upon maybe a couple years ago. I can't even remember his name right now, but he makes this furniture. He's not here with us anymore, but he used to make this dope furniture that felt like very vintage 70s. I can't even think of his name right now. My brain's drawing a blank, but just the way he would compose pieces, it was just something beautiful about it. So like stuff like that, I'll pick up. But then of course, just any type of art books that's got character driven stuff and dynamic graffiti vibes and things like that, man. So I don't know, it jumps around, bro. It jumps around. I got so many books in this room, and this beautiful chaos is ridiculous.
Word.
Yeah.
So before we get out of here, the last question I have is, what's one thing that you want folks to take away from this project?
Bro, keep the daydream alive. You know what I'm saying? Like wherever you at, as long as you breathing, you can get to this next place and this next place and this next place. And you might go through some ups and downs in that process, but just keep daydreaming. You know what I'm saying? Even at night, don't stop. And in between that, believe in who you are, and hopefully the book itself just looks good on your coffee table, and you vibe with some of the art that's in there. For some people, it'll have them reminiscing about their younger days because some of the characters is in there. For other people, they might see something that reminds them of family and their grandparents. And I have a lot of cardinals in my personal work and things like that. So, whatever you get out of it, but the biggest thing is just don't stop believing in you and daydream. I don't care who you are, how old or young you are. Yeah. Keep that little white dove alive.
We have a crow. Keep the crow alive.
I mean, from my understanding, the raven or the crow was actually the original bird sent. So
hey, keep the raven alive.
Keep the raven alive. That's what I'd rather do. But yeah,
for sure. Well, look, again, check out the Kickstarter. It's going on right now. We got about 9 days left. Is it 9 days or 8? I'm sorry. We got days left.
Yeah, it's some days. It's only a few days.
There's only a few days left. Definitely check it out. It's great art. It's a great person behind it. The link is in the bio. Definitely check it out. Woo! Let's go. Okay, we got some samples. No, that's tough. I'm glad I backed. Get my signed copy.
Hey, I appreciate that.
Is Ona in there at all? Did you put Ona in there? You ain't put Ona in there?
I ain't have permission from the creator.
That's crazy.
So, I ain't want to throw nothing in there that got me in no trouble. No legal. I mean, I guess there's some legalities with some of these other ones too.
Look, but you shouldn't be worried about me taking you to court. Worry about Joe Quesada or Jim Lee calling you like, hey man.
Hey,
hey, bro.
That's why I'm keeping it minimal, so they can't say I'm cashing in too heavy.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, before we get out of here, you mentioned Absolute Batman. I read that joint. That first issue was dope.
Yeah, bro. I seen a lot of people that was hating before it came out, but it seemed like after the book came out, I started seeing people's tune kind of change. Like, okay, this is a different take. Let me see where this go.
Yeah, you knew Snyder was gonna hold it down. You knew Snyder was gonna hold it down.
For sure.
But yo, before we get out of here, Wolly, I just want to say, man, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for coming through.
I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for having me.
Man, you already know I respect you, bro. I admire you. I admired you before I got to really, kick it with you and get to know you, and now I admire you even more. And I just appreciate you, bro. I just want to let you know that, man, for sure.
I appreciate you, bro. Always, for sure.
Man. Yes, sir. To the watchers, to the viewers, to the listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Like this, share this, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you soon. As always, I love you. I love you. I love you. Peace.
Peace to the gods and the earths.